The Honourable Leader of the Alberta Liberal Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Premier, glad you could join us. We learned the former Capital Health CEO approved former COO's expense claim for medical care at the Mayo Clinic, a practice the Health Minister calls despicable, and which most Albertans call queue jumping, which interestingly didn't come up during the inquiry. The Deputy Premier said if what the opposition brought to light was correct, quote, that person and others will be dealt with, unquote. However, the Health Minister essentially said that was then, this is now. Move along. To the Premier, who do you side with here? Your Deputy Premier or your Health Minister? You going to deal with it or move along?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we side with Alberta taxpayers. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, we introduced new expense guidelines that ensure, Mr. Speaker, that this government can hold agency boards and commissions accountable for all expenses, Mr. Speaker. That is appropriate, that is important, and that is why a year ago, when we promised to change health care and we promised to change government, Mr. Speaker, that we were able to gain the confidence of Albertans and to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that we provided public health care to everyone in this province in a way that allowed them to continue to build family and live in their communities.
Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's clear this Premier sides with those fuel-burdened taxpayers who waste the rest of our taxpayers' money. The Auditor General's February 2013 report clearly states that under the direction of this minister, HS hired Ernst & Young to audit only expenses claimed by the former Capital Health CFO. Mr. Speaker, any health minister worth his salt would know that the dollar value of executive claims authorized by Sheila Wetherill was absolutely outrageous. To the minister, why weren't all the health claims authorized by Ms. Wetherill audited? What else were you afraid that would come to light? Why didn't you audit everything, Minister?
Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we are certainly not afraid of the fear-mongering that persists on the part of members opposite in the discussion of this issue. Mr. Speaker, the fact of the matter is that the Alberta Health Services Board took the appropriate step in requesting the Auditor General to audit the expense claims of senior Alberta Health Services executives who had served in former capacities with the former health regions. Mr. Speaker, this was an important step. The Auditor General has delivered his report. We've all had the opportunity to see it. It's very interesting that the honourable members don't take the opportunity to discuss the results of that report, which were in fact quite positive. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has reviewed the expense claim procedures of Alberta Health Services today and supports those procedures.
Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's clearly they're not afraid of wasting taxpayers' money. So let's just back up here. Fact, the HS audit arose because of the outrageous expense claims made by Alod Morale, which only came to light because of a FOIP by Charles Westnell. Fact, all of Morale's expense claims were authorized by Sheila Wetherill. Fact, Ms. Wetherill approved her COO's claim for medical care at the Mayo Clinic, uncovered due to a FOIP because of the opposition. This question is for the Premier, not the Health Minister. Will you finally do the right thing and authorize a forensic audit of the former Capital Health Region, which current HS CEO Dr. Chris Eagle originally called?
The Honourable Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the Minister of Health has said, this work has been done, Mr. Speaker. We're ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that wherever possible and we can pursue avenues with respect to the expense claim that the honourable member has raised, that we are doing that, Mr. Speaker. And we are proud of the fact that we now have a system that's going to ensure that we no longer have those sorts of circumstances happen. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm not standing here to apologize for decisions that I find personally offensive that took place well before me and many of my colleagues were actually even elected, Mr. Speaker. We got elected to change things, Mr. Speaker, and we did.
And there was